So welcome back everyone. In the previous lectures, we learned about the most important concepts of the Python programming, that is loops. We saw how loops help us repeat a task multiple times without writing the same code again and again. Today we will going to learn about another powerful concept of programmer, that is that every programmer uses, that is functions. Okay. So by the end of this lecture, you will be able to understand how function help us is cleaner and reasonable and more organized code. Okay. So let's understand the need of the functions. First, I write here functions. So before functions, like imagine you want a program to display the message three times. Like if you want to display print hello world three times. Okay. So what will you do? You will say like if you want to print three times, I will use you. But you can you use loops to print at the particular time only, if one time. But what if you want to print this like again like tomorrow? So it will be like a more redundant way of doing writing this individually. So what we do here, we made a function and write inside this, and we use the function again and again. Okay. So if one of someone has to use the code 50 times in this code, like in the like you have made two sections of code. First section is for login, and second section is for uh, like anything form section. So you have to use this message in both. So you can't use loop there now. So you have to like make a function about this and use that function along that whole two sections. So like for the real life analogy, you can say that mm, imagine a restaurant. Customer orders different dishes throughout the day. Does the chef learn the recipe every time a customer places an order? The answer is no. The chef already has a recipe. When someone orders a dish, the chef simply follows the same recipe again and again. Same with the functions here. Okay. So first, let's understand through a definition that what our function actually are. So it is a named block because we name it. Named block of code that performs a specific task. Okay. So instead of writing the code repeatedly, we write a code once inside a function and call it whenever we need it. So that's the main use of function. Basically, it is a reusable block of code. So next, the question comes in our mind that why do we use functions? So first one I already told you the code reusability. It is a reusable block of code. Then it is a less repetition. Do not have to copy the same block of code, same code like lines of code many times. Just use the function there, and it is easier to maintain also. Okay. Then better organization also. You can organize your code better with functions. So let's take the real life examples of the function that when you tap the camera icon in your camera app, the camera opens. You don't know the internal code, you simply use it. Similarly, the calculator performs calculation and alarm apps set a reminder. So each performs one specific job. So in programming, these each one of these can be thought of as a function here. Everyday exercise, including your morning wake up, brush teeth, take a bath, eat breakfast, they are separate tasks. Instead of remaining every task step, your brain treats each task as one complete activity. Okay, so like for the brush teeth task, your mind doesn't think that you have to wake up, then put the toothpaste on your for like toothbrush, then you have to put it your toothpaste in your mouth. It's just a thing you have to like brush your teeth. So the interesting part is that you have already using function without learning like print. Hello, print. It is a like function. Length is also a function. We can find length of a something. Okay. Type function we have already learned. It is also a function. We have also learned the range function also. So there is one noticing like you have use a function here like print function here. Then you use here range function. You can say you can also use, you have also use type function. So in all three functions, you can see that all functions have this parenthesis. Oh no, these parentheses, all functions have this. Okay, so you can say this is one most common characteristic of the function. Okay, so we can identify the function by this. So in Python, we can also define our own functions and we call it our user-defined functions. Okay, so there are also a dry principle in the programming. We call it as don't repeat yourself. So what is this principle? So according to this principle, according to dry principle, which is don't repeat yourself. So actually, good programmers avoid writing the same code again and again. Instead, they write it once and use it whenever they required. So, so where are function used actually? So you can see the login systems, payment gateways, search features, calculator apps, games, bank router, everywhere the function are used. The last should use thousand of function is for one small task. Okay. So can you imagine your favorite mobile app and identify at least three features that could be a separate functions here? So if I take the example of a WhatsApp, you can say that the functions here can be send message and receive call, make call, okay, play video, pause video, like these, okay. The common misconception has been between the programmers that beginners that functions are only for large programs. So this is not true. Even a small program become easier to understand when related code is grouped into function. So they are most like a use case of the function here. Okay. So just to take a quick recap that what is functions are. Okay. Why they are used. So functions is a name block of code that performs the specific task. It is a reusable block of code. So why they are useful? So they are useful like by using function you can easily maintain your code. Your code is reusable. It is easier to maintain, better organized. Okay. Then there are two types of function here. First one is built-in functions, and second one is your user-defined functions. Okay. And we have also talked about some of the real life examples of the functions that where they are used, like in login system, banking systems. Okay. So now we understand what functions are and why they're important. It's time to create a very first functions. So for that, like you can, so if you don't worry, if it's your first time seeing this in text, you'll understand every single step, line step by step. So what does define a functions mean? So before we use a function, we need to define it. Defining a function simply means writing and the instruction and the function should perform. Like think of it writing a recipe. Writing the recipe doesn't prepare the food. The food is prepared only when someone follows the recipe. Similarly, defining a function only stores the instruction. The instructions are only followed when you call the function. So there are two steps. First one is define the function, and second one is calling the function. So now I should tell you the syntax of the function, how to define a function. syntax. Okay. So for the syntax of the function, you write here def keyword, which is used for define. Then you write here function name, and here parenthesis. Then with colon, you start a block code, and you can write here instructions or function body. You can say. Okay. Now let's understand what is the def here. As I already told you, it is a keyword. Previously told you there are many keywords in the programming, but there here is the def keyword which is used to define a function here. Okay. Then there is a function name, just like the name of the function. The variable, just like variables have names, function have also have names. Okay. So you can say these are the identifier here. Okay. Now you have to make the main meaningful here so that everyone could understand easily. Now what is the meaning of this parenthesis here? So every function contains parentheses. Right now they are empty, and we will learn how to pass information inside these parentheses. We call them parameters. Okay. Then this is colon. It is a function also ends with a colon here. Okay, you already know what I use a colon here. And we also give here indentation too. These are the body of functions. Okay. So just try our first function. Write our first function here. So firstly we write the function to greet. Okay. We will have here def and write our name of the function that would be greet and close the parenthesis. Write the colon here. Then I will write here print welcome to Python programming. Okay. So if I try to run this program in my VS Code, let's just make a new file here. Name this 7th.py. And if I try to print this here and try to run this code, do you think anything will happen here? So if I run this, you can see nothing is happening here. Okay, because we are not calling it. Why this anything print here? We have written here print. So it is a surprise for every beginners because we are only defining the function, not actually calling it. That's why nothing is executing here. So after defining the function, we have to write here the name of the function and we have to call it like this. Okay, here is the name of the function. Then here is the parenthesis. Okay, then we will you will see the your output bar came went from to Python programming. Okay, so there are two parts of using function. First we define, then we use. Okay, so you can think like it like if I am writing here like some of the code here, any code you can say or some lines. Okay, so I will tell you the real use case of this function. After that, I will need then think that there is need to like use greet function again. So I can use greet function again here. Okay, so that's the main use of like greet function. If I run this program, you can say welcome to Python programming. Then you can consider this random thing like some of the other work here, code here, and here we can another way of get the Python programming next also. Okay, so that's not the main use of the function that you can reuse it. Okay, many times. So when we like call this function, we call it a function call. Okay, so I should copy this and paste this here. Actually, it is a function call here. Okay, so yes, you already know the Python is an interpreted language, so interpreter is line one by one. So firstly, it will go to this line, define line, but here it will do nothing. Then when we go to this read point, then it will print the Python program. Okay, so if you want to learn with a right here also create as polymer function. Then how it is actually working? So it is working like if I when I will run the program, what will happen here? Then firstly it will our Python interpreter go to this line, but nothing will happen when it comes to this line. When the Python interpreter comes to greet line, it reads the greet line here firstly. After that, what will happen? Then it jumps to the function block, this block after greet. Okay, so you can say it will jump to the function block. Okay, now after that, it will execute what will be inside the function. Like in this our case, it will be print. So it will print the message. Okay, and then our program will comes to an end here. So that's how our whole functions work. So can you start with this flow chart? Okay. Here we have written the page instrument one time, but we can call it multiple times whenever we need to like require this. Okay. So let's take another example here, and let's just open this. And if I write here def line, the main user function to print a line here. So I will write here print. Inside this, I will make this line. Okay. So what will we use this function? If I am write here anything like print Python. After that, I want to like make a line string here. So what I will do, I will like a line, not here. Then after that, I will write print here functions. As you can see, the line comes here whenever required is. If we want to like use it another time, we can use it another time. So we can use a line here and write another thing here like print hello. Okay. And if we run this, you can see that Python function hello. These all are here only. Okay. So instead of writing this print line again and again, we just use the line variable here. That's the main thing we use to make the function reusable. So function you should for the naming of the function you should follow some rules also. Rules for naming a function. So first rule is it can contain. letters, obviously. Also, it can contain numbers, but not at the starting of the name. Not at the beginning. And obviously, you can use underscore also here. Okay. For the examples of the function name, I can show you that. Like if I make a function name calculate sum. Okay. Second, you can say that student details and like this. But what are the wrong names here? The wrong name here are like if you write one function, so it is wrong. The number can be before the at the beginning. Okay. My function, it is also wrong because you can't use that one here dash here. You can only use underscore here. So a program can contain multiple functions. Like for example, if I print here, like make here two three functions here, it will be no problem. Like if I print here, make a function here, def, greet, and right here print hello. Then after that I can write here def, bye, and write here print goodbye. Then I can call these functions like greet. Then I can write here say hello goodbye because the wrote are very incorrectly here. So let's take a real life analogy. Like imagine a TV remote. Each button performs one task: power button turn off, volume button change volume, channel button change channel. You press only the button you need. Also, similarly, you will use greet function and refer depth function when you are required to do a particular job here. Okay, so let's talk about some of the mistakes people do with functions. So mistake one here, people forgot to write parentheses. Okay, so it will become wrong if you write here def greet and write here hello. That is wrong. Then for a second mistake, people forget understand indentation. Okay, these are all the mistakes here. Then for the third mistakes, forgetting the colon. I'm writing a mistake so that the mistakes go into your mind and you will never forget to do the mistakes. Forgetting the colon. And four is you are only defining a uh, function. What a not colon. Okay. So these are the mistakes you should remember here. Okay. Now we should do a mini practice activity here. Okay. So you have to predict what will the output here. Okay. firstly, I will write as a program like I will make a function here dev welcome, and then I will write here print print welcome. You have to firstly now you have to like tell me the output of this code if I run this. So if I run this, you can see no output there. So I will get the output when I call this function. So I will write here welcome here. So then I will run it. Then I will got my output which is welcome. Okay. Now for the second program, if I make a function here def not print def hello and write here print and try to call this hello two times. Let it hello. What will happen? If I run this, we will see the hello will be printed two times. Now for the program 3 or I think these two are enough. So if someone asks you what is the difference between defining a function and calling a function, so you can say that defining a function, I can also write here. So defining a function means creating a function and writing its instruction. Okay. For calling a function means executing executing these instructions. So this is a difference. Someone asks you, you can tell. Then okay. Now for the real world application, functions are used everywhere like login, logout, calculate salary, send email, generate report, many functions are there. Every each function is responsible for one specific task. Lots of their projects will contain thousands of functions working together. Okay, so let's just take a quick recap. Okay, so firstly we check like what is mean to be define a function. So I already wrote here below. Define a function means creating a function and writing its instructions. What is a def keyword? So def keyword is a keyword which is used to define a function. Okay. Then we have also like understand the syntax of the function, like how this function works. Then function of names I have also told you types of the function name. Okay. Then parentheses and colon use I have also told you indentation. And we have call use to understand what the calling of function means. Multiple function calls we can also include. And within class we have understand the different mistakes people do with functions. Okay. So if I ask you a question that if we define a function but never call it, will Python automatically execute? The answer is no. So defining a function only stores instructions. Python execute those instructions only when the function is called. Okay. So till now we have learned how to define and call a function, but there was one limitation. Our function did exactly the same thing like we have written before. Okay. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. For example, if I write here def greet, then I write here print hello. So whenever we call print, it will always when will we call greet, it will always print hello. So what if I want to greet someone? Like if I want to greet like a user one, hello user one, for the user two, I will have to write hello user two. So how can we do that? Okay. Should I create three different functions for all three users? The answer is no, because a website can contain thousand lakhs of users. So we will create just lakhs of functions for these things, not only no. So instead create a new functions that we send information to the functions. There is where parameter arguments come here. Okay. So for the real life analogy, you can say that I should write your parameters and arguments. Okay. Like for the elephant house, you can say restaurant has one pizza recipe, but customer can choose small, medium, large, or toppings like cheese, corn, paneer, or mushroom. So the recipe stays the same, only the toppings change there, okay, and the size of the pizza changes. So function exactly work in the same way. So first we understand what are parameters here. It is a value or variable written inside a function definition. Okay. So basically, it acts like a placeholder. It waits for a value when the function is called. So, like if you want, let's take the great example here. And if I write a great example like this, there in greet, and if I pass here our variable name, you can say name here, and then I write here print hello and name here. So it will write the print hello here and the value inside the name here. Okay. So this is basically the parameter here. Okay. So currently it has no value. It is just waiting the value that the user can provide when calling the function. Okay. So now let's understand what is the argument here. So if I write call the function here, first it we understand what is the argument here. Argument. So it is the value passed into the function. So if I write here, and here I call the function like greet here, but I should write something here. So if I write here user one. So what is the argument here? So the argument here is this user one is the argument here. So the variable name which is provided by define the function is the parameter here, and the value provided by calling the function is argument here. Okay. So what if I run this function here? If I run this function here like this, You see that it will say hello user one. Can I take the input here also? Let's try with input statement. Enter your name. Okay, I can run this. First, if you ask me to enter my name, I will write anything. Here I should write user two. Say it will say hello user two. Okay, so it is actually how it is working. You can also take the input here. Okay, so for the easy understanding, you can say that in function definition or when we define the function, we pass the parameter here. Okay, but when we call the function call, calling a function call, then what happens? We pass the arguments here. Okay, so these are both related to the parameter related to function definition and calling a function distributed argument. Okay, for the one line thing, you can say that parameter receives value and argument provide values. Okay, so let's just take this greet function and greet with different people here. Okay, or I should comment here and make new greet function here. If I, for the example, if I write here greet and write your name, okay, you can say now this time this name is hated here. Why it is hated? Because it's currently not using here. If I write here print hello and if I write your name, then you can say it is glowing here, not faded. Okay. So this is our function definition. Now we can probably call it multiple times like greet Rahul and I can copy this multiple times. I can write a word and common any name and any name you can say. Okay. So if I try to run this function, we'll say that these four lines come here. Okay. So you can use functions multiple times here. Okay. So now here is where we have already taken one parameter here. So now let's understand how to take two parameters. Okay. So for the two parameters, I'm just using def and the function name would be student here. Now inside the student, I will take two parameters. First one is name and the second one is age here. Okay. Now I will write here print and I will write here name and write here name. Okay. Then I will write here age, right here, any age you can take. Okay, this age very well. So now I can run this. So if there's nothing coming because we have not called this function. Just call this function. If the name of the student is Rahul here and age of the student here is like anything 45, no, 20 we take. Okay, so if I run it, you see that here is the name Rahul and age 20 here. So we can put many parameters here. Okay, so here the main thing is that you should write in the order here, like it is defined in the system. Okay, you can define in the um, function here. If I write here 20 first and Rahul at the last, then you can say answer with name 20 and age Rahul, which is definitely wrong here. That's why you should remember the order here. Okay, so we will understand also we can change the position and also get the right output here afterwards. Okay, firstly right here 20 or any. Now let's come to example 3 here, and we have to make a add function here. So what I will write? I will write def add, and I will provide two arguments to here, one a, comma b. Then I will write here print a plus b. Okay. Then I will call this function. You can say if I call, or we can write it more easily like right here. The sum of a plus str a plus str or plus str b plus. Okay. Now, yeah, more clearly here. Now I should call this function that add 10 comma 20 here. Should call it multiple times. I will add 5 comma 7 here. Okay, we can also write here large numbers 10 comma 250. Let's run this function here. And we get our answer is the sum of 10 and 20 is 30. The sum of 5 and 7 is 12. Sum of 100 and 250 is 250. Okay, so we made our add function. This will also make by yourself, so you will get into mind how to make this and with the practice. Okay. So for the example 4, we are finding the area of a rectangle. So we will let the another area as the name of the function will be uniform. The first parameter will be length and second parameter will be breadth here. And after that I will write here print area equals to right here and multiply by breadth here. Okay. So now this calls function area 10 from 5 area comma 4. I try to run this. See the we got our area 50 and area 28 here. Okay. So let's understand what is happening internally. Okay. So in this def function here, what is happening? Python this send this user one value to this name variable. Okay. And then when user one is sent to a name variable, then this print student prints the variable here. Okay. Now let's talk about some of the common beginner mistakes here. So firstly, mistake one here is so our mistake one here is wrong number of arguments. Okay, like for example, if you have defined a function with parameters, two parameters like this, f1 and two parameter one comma b, and here you are writing some of your function body below. This is our body, okay? Function body. I'm not writing here anything. Then when you try to call this f1 function and you try to like give only one argument, then it will execute not execute it and give us an error of type error. Okay. Now for the second mistake here, like you give too many arguments, opposite of that. Okay. Same function I take if I write here dev f1 and I write here a only one argument and here I am some of the here is the body of my function and I don't like just take an example and you are calling this function and you give like many arguments like 3 comma 4 comma 5. It will also give error here. Okay. Then for the third mistake, which is like people confusing with parameter arguments. So as I already told you, what are parameters and argument in detail. With also this simple function when we define we use parameter, reporting function we use argument. Simple is that. Okay. So don't get confused in that. So now let's come to a mini practice activity. Okay. Where you have to predict the output here. Okay. So let's go to a code editor, and if I write here a function named def square and write here a number, then I write here print square, not square, number into number. Okay. So if I write here square, enter 6 here. Could you tell me what will be the output here? So the output would be here 36. Okay. Why 36? Because it is square the number we are providing here. Okay. So it is the program first. Okay. Now for the second program, you have to predict the output is if I write it there. I'm giving very easy programs. B and I write here print A multiply by B. And I write here multiply 3 comma 5. Okay. So can you understand what will happen here? So if I run this, the answer is 15. It will just multiply, no error. Okay. Now for the program 3, we take a function that is welcome and write here name. After that, I'm writing here print well welcome. And after that, write here name. Then I will call this function and write here welcome Python. So the current answer is welcome Python. Then for the real life applications, consider function with parameters are used everywhere. Like login function, you have to provide the username password and it checks whether the username password is correct or not. Okay. Then the send email function, you can say that you write here the receiver and subject. Okay. Withdraw account and amount like this. Okay. So if someone asks you what the difference between a parameter and argument, so you can simply say that the parameter here, when I have made this, you don't need to write again. The parameter is written in the function definition. Just remember, in the function definition, we write the parameter and we write the argument in the function call. Okay, so let's just take a quick recap of this section. So, what is parameter actually? So, the parameter it is a variable inside a function definition. Okay, so and what is an argument? So, argument it's a value passed into the function. Okay, when calling the function. Okay, then what's the difference between them? So, you can say that a simple return parameter receives value, argument provide values. Okay, okay. Then we have also learned how to pass values to a function. Okay, in the RVS code editor, we write here We have passed single values plus double values. Here we have in this we can say grid we have passed single values name. Okay. For the double value we have made the student and passed Rahul and 20 the double values. Here is the function definition. Okay. So now our function can receive information from outside, but one function still remains. And what if a function perform a calculation and we want to get the result back? Simply presenting the answer isn't always enough. Okay. So now we will understand the most important keyword in Python, that is the return keyword. Okay. So like till now we have learned how to send information to a function using parameter arguments, but now think about the opposite direction. What if a function performs some work and want to send a result back to the place from where it is called? If it want to pass like send a value from where it is calling, okay? So here exactly we use the return statement, okay? Return statement. Like let's say for the real life analogy, imagine you go to a restaurant, you give order to a waiter. The waiter takes the order to the kitchen, the chef prepares the order, and then what happens? The food comes back to a table. Think of it like you send the information to a function, the function do its work, and then it returns the result to you. This is exactly what the return statement does. So, if I write here an example, yeah, if I add a comma b and print a plus b, and then I call this function like add 10 comma 20. So you can clearly predict the output that the output would be here 30. So you can ask me that what is the need of return then? So the need of it to return is that it only prints the value. It doesn't send the value back to the caller here. Okay. Like if you want to store the output here for the future use, you can't. So for that we use print here. Okay. Like if I want to store the result here, what will I do? I will just copy this and if I go to code editor, what will I do here? This is fine. It will definitely print the but what if I want to store this result? Then I will write here return a plus b. Then I can also here make a variable name that result is equal to add. Okay. So if I run this, you can say answer is 30. Then after I can write here print result. Okay. From variable. If I want somewhere else in the code, when I print the this it is actually stored in the program. Okay. If I run this, you can say result of a variable is 30. So this is the main use of definition here. So now, why did none appear? Like, if I just only return this and doesn't reference here in this function, then what will happen? If I also comment out this, then there nothing will appear here because it sends the value to result, but we are not using result, either we are not printing the function also, okay? So that's the main thing. Also, we can do there one more thing also. If I copy this and paste this here and here, if I want to directly print with the what I have used here, what I have used written here, so I can write a print and write here function name and like 4 comma 5. Then I can print my result here. Okay, you see 9 is printed here. Okay, so like how it is working. So it is working like if I copy here and just move this right here. So how it is working? So firstly, the function is calling here, that is our add function, and the value is provided as 10 comma 20 here. Now after that, what happens here? The A value got 10 and B value got 20 here. So here A is equal to 20, 10, and B is equal to 20 here. Then the function performs this output here, like A50. Okay, so it performs A plus B. Then what it does, then it returns this output, which is the 30 output, where it will return this. Return to what? Return to this variable. Then it will return 30 here. Okay. And our value of result become 30. So this is how the whole function is working here. Okay. So this is how the whole function is working here. Okay. So let's understand what is the difference between print and return so you doesn't confuse in that also. Firstly, for the print here, and what does print does? It displays output. Simple as that. Okay, we can't we use the result here and mainly used for displaying. Then for the return. Okay. Oh, now for the return here, it sends value back, not just printed, and result can be reused here. And mainly used for calculation as we are storing the value. So these are what differences between return and print. Okay, print is for humans displaying and return is for the program. You can say it. So let's just take an example here. Okay, so here I'm taking a def function which name is square. I'm writing here a number. Then I'm returning number two numbers here. Okay. After that, I store the value of this square function in the x. Okay. Then I print the value x here, and after that I print the value x, which is increased by 10 here. Okay. So let's just take what will be the output here. Let's say firstly the output is 100, which is the square of 10 here. Then we add 10 here, so we have done the addition operation with the this value which is student x. But if we only just add print here, then we are not able to do that. Okay. Now just take the next example here. If I added the area, I'm taking the same example, but with return here. Then here I can write here return. You can also put something here if you are no problem. To not break with okay. I wrote the with spelling wrong here. Okay. Now I am writing here a variable num area and writing the function here, calling the function here, and writing it's like 12 comma 8. Now if I print room area here, so you can see that what will be my answer here. If I clear it, the answer will be 96 here. Okay. So here we are storing the order. Now what else we can do here? Like if I want to find the cost of like displaying the bricks into the room. Okay. So what I can do here, I can write here is dash meter square. Okay, you write this. Okay, now if I run this, you can see that room area is 96 meter square. That is like this. Okay, if I run this is 96 meter square. uh, Space and model. Okay, now I want to find the cost of displaying the tiles in that room. So, so here cost, first whatever cost per meter square, okay, is then here I can write is what I should write, like 50. Then after that I can write a print cost of displaying tiles would be how much? This symbol, then will multiply the room area with the cost per meter square, okay. So now if I print this, let's say that the room area is 96 meters square and the cost of the tile would be 4800 rupees. Okay. So here you can like here use this return statement and store the value of the area into area variable and now you calculated the price by this. Okay. Now we will try to return a string also. It will also only return number. We will return all the string also. Like if I write it there, welcome and write here name, press enter here and write here return welcome plus name. Then call this function like message and write here welcome and write here. Then if I try to print message, then we'll say welcome Rahul. I could provide a space here also. You see that we print welcome Rahul. Okay. So it is how it is working. Now we should return the boolean values also every data. Okay. So if I try to write depth is even, I want to check is a number, particular number is even or not. I will write here number, and then here I will return number modulus by 2 interval equal to. It is the for the safety purpose I can write here bool enclosing this boolean. But it is not required, but then also I'm writing in. Okay. So if I write here print both, not both, is even but have a right here 4, then it will pass through here, okay? Right here 9, then it will pass false here, okay? Now, one most important thing also that after return, you can't write anything here for the function. Write a them, well for them, test, and write here print start. Then, if after that I should return, okay, I should only also use only return also, okay. And if I write here print and say anything, you can say it is like a failure because anything after return will not work. Okay, if I try to run this function, test, so you can say that so clear that. Then it will show only the start will not show end because it is put it after return. So it is also the main functionality of the return statement. Now we will try to return multiple values here. Till now we are returning one values. So if you write here def calculation, you make a function and write there are two parameters that gonna be and you return like a plus b comma a multiplied by b. So acquiring for these both values, two variables should be required here. So we can write here two variables like this. Like first one is some value. For the first return thing, we write here first variable some value, comma. Then for the second result, we write here second value that is product value. Then here we store that calculation and pass here any value like 5, comma 4. Now if I try to print the sum value, then I try to print here row value, then you can see we get our 9 and 20 because the sum of 5 plus 4 is 9 and multiplication of 5 plus 4 is 20. Okay, so now let's talk about some of the beginner mistakes here. So the first beginner mistake is using print instead of return. Then our second mistake here is forgetting to store the return value. Okay, Writing code after return. Okay. Here return. Then you write after return hello then return I use. Okay. So now let's just come to the mini practice activity. So here you have to predict the output. Okay. So here I'm writing a function named defq and passing a parameter like number here. Then I have to write here return number exponentiation 3. Then I will print here q 3. Can you guess the answer here? So the answer would be here 27. Okay. For the program 2, I'm writing here def greet name. Okay. I will return here return hello plus name. Okay. Then I will store message right here greet function and right here common. Okay. Then I will write a print. Okay. So can you guess the output here? So the output would be here hello Aman. Okay. Now for the next program, I will take a def multiply function here and right here comma b right here print a multiply by b. Then for the result, here I can multiply 2 comma 5 here. Okay. Then I will try to print result here. So if you can guess this output is 10. Okay. So here the question is why does none appeared here? Can you answer that? Because the function uses print instead of return. Okay. Here nothing is returned here. That's why it print the value also. Although it also print the result none here. None is for this part line. If I remove this line, Say only 10 will print, but I have written nothing here. That's why it is printing none here. Okay. So let's come to the real world applications of this function. So function returning values are everywhere. Okay. Like calculate salary, find maximum, search product, predict price, defect fees, anything. Okay. These functions don't simply disable results; they return data so the rest of the program will continue working with it. A common interview question is what is the difference between print and return? Simple answer is print displays information on screen, return sends the value back to the caller. Now just take a quick recap of this return statement. So the first thing is that why return is needed. Okay, so return is needed to return a particular value to a variable where we store it. Okay, or the column calling of the function. Then we should study what difference between print and return. Then that is print, it is return, print displays output, returns and value where print we can use result, print result can be used. Here cannot I have, here cannot be there, not can. Okay. Then for the beginner mistakes, we'll learn how to return like using print instead of return, forgetting the store the return value, mistake creating the product return. Okay. Then we also told you that after return, if you write anything here, it will be no use. Okay. So our function can now receive information using parameters and information back using return. But one important question still remains: if a variable is created inside a function, can we use it outside the function? The variable here is if we make inside the function, can we use it outside? So let's understand these variables. Can we use them or not? Okay. Till now we have learned how function can return values. Now let's answer an important question. If we create a variable inside a function, can we use it inside the function? And what happened if a variable with the same name exists both inside and outside the function? So to understand this, first we understand a concept of scope. So what is scope? So scope it is an of region, area of or region of a program where variable can be accessed. Okay. So every variable is not available everywhere. Every variable is not available everywhere. Some variables are available only inside a function. So in Python, we mainly learn two types of variables. The first one is local variable, and the second one is global variable. For example, imagine a school where the principal offers a classroom, but the principal can access school-wide information, but a classroom teacher merely works with the information related to the classroom only. Similarly, some variables belongs only to a function, some variable belongs to an entire program. Now, first understand what is local variable here. So, if I for the definition thing I can write here that variable that is created inside a function. Okay, it only exists when the function is running. Remember that. Okay. For example, if I take a function which is like greet function, simple greet function, and Right here, message is equal to hello, print message. Then I write here, greet. So the output of this will be hello, obviously. Okay. Okay. So here the message is the local variable here, which is created inside it. Okay. So this is on the local variable. What is the local variable here? Our message keyword is local variable here. Okay. So can we use it outside? The answer is no. Like if you take that example, if I also write here after completing the program, I write here print message. Now the pattern will give error. So it is wrong here. Error. What error? Type error. Tomorrow, I think name error or type error will come. So here our error will come here, which would be name error. Okay, because the variable is only created inside the function and can only be used inside the function also. It will move from the memory whenever the function executed fully. Okay, so this is simple local variable. Now come to the global variable here. So when we try to create a variable like this outside the function, right here, there, greet, right here, print, message here, then I will add here, greet. So here, what will happen here? The output is hello. How? Because the function can access this variable because it's a global. It is accessible everywhere. That's why we call it global variable. Okay. So let's understand deeply by differentiating between them. Okay. Local and global variable. Okay. So let's differentiate between this. Right here, local. Then they are created inside. Huh? function. Okay, accessible will inside a function exist during function execution. Okay, ठीक now for the global variable, these are created outside the function, then accessible throughout the programs. Okay, okay. Then it exists while the program is running. Okay, these are the basic differences between the local versus global variable. For example, if I write here name is equal to Rahul, then write it to name is equal to Amar, and print name here. Then I call in this show function and print name here. Okay, let's just copy this. Print here. It should be in double quotes. Okay, so what would be the output here? Aman Rahul, because the function printed name here Aman, because it is taken name Aman here. Okay, but the outside the lower variable, it is the name Rahul here. That's why taking name Rahul here, and no error came that we have using two variable name as the same. Okay, so like when Python sees print name inside a function, it checks in this order. Like, is there local variable well named name? If not, then there's a variable name. Firstly, it checks the local. If there's local, then it will check local. If there's not local, then it will check name. It is a global variable. If the neither exists, then it will give the name error. Okay. Now let's come to a new keyword that is global keyword. What this keyword do is sometimes we want to modify a global variable from inside a function. Okay. For example, I take here count is equal to 0, and if I write a def increase function, okay, and I write here global count. Can I write here count plus is equal to 1? Then if when I will write here increase and print count here. So what will happen here? The output would be, let's check here with our editor. If I run this, you get the value of count as 1. See why you're getting 1? Because if when you will try to write global here, the this function not make a new variable count. It only uses this count variable as this local variable. Okay, global variable count as its local variable and increase that value. Okay, as beginners don't usually use global in professional programming, it is usually better to pass value using parameters and rather than using return only. Okay, this is for just showing purpose. What I just told you. Okay, now let's just come to our common being mistakes section. One comma like accessing the variable outside. These are the mistake one. For the mistake two is that for getting global values or you just get count plus is equal to 1, then it will raise error. Okay, because it thinks count the local variable but is not used before assignment. Then for the 3, you assume that local variables stay forever. It only stays till the function is calling, then it disappears from the memory. Okay, so this is the third, assume local variable stay forever. And fourth one is phase in accounting. Fourth one are or similar. Then coming to the mini practice activity. So right here s is equal to 100 here. Then def show, then if I write here like this def show, then I write here print x. So then I write here show. So what would be the answer here? Can you predict it? So let's run this. So answer would be here 100 because it is a global variable and the def function can access it inside also. Okay. So now let's do our next come to our next program, that is def test, and write y is equal to 50 here, print y here, then writing test here. So what would be the output here? Say 50 output, local variable is there and it contains the local variable here. Okay, now come to our next program, which is def, same test function, and writing here y equals to 50, then writing here test. Okay, so what will be the answer here? Nothing. Why? Because in the function y is, and if I write here also print y, then it is already saying y is not defined. Then if I run this, you will get the error. It is new error. Y is not defined. Because the y is defined here, it is a local variable, can't be accessed outside here. If I write help global, then it will work. It will not work. Okay. If I try to write y is equal to 50, then it can give 50. You can't assign there. Okay. So by this unit, but currently it will be y will be defined and error will be there. Okay. So for the real world applications, we can say that slope scope help us organize large software. Okay, for example, a login function stores the temporary user input in local variable. Game stores the current player's colon through the scope where multiple parts of the program can access it. A web application may configure values globally while each request is its own local variable. Okay, so now let's take a quick recap what we have learned. Okay, in this section. So in this section we learned about what a scope means. Firstly, it is the area of vision of program where variable can be accessed. Okay. Then we understand what our local variables are. Then we understand what our global variables are. Okay. And then we understand the difference between local and global. Okay. Then we understand about the global keyword here. This. Okay. And we have learned about some common beginner mistakes here. So if I ask you a question that if a variable is created inside a function, should another unrelated part of the program be able to set it automatically? So answer is no. That's the purpose of the local scope. It gives variable element to the function where they are needed, making program cleaner, more organized, and reducing accidental mistakes here. Okay, so we are now understand how variable behave inside and outside function. But here's something interesting. We've already been using many functions without creating them ourselves. Function like print, input, len, type are already built into the function. So let's explore these built-in functions also, which makes our programming easier. Okay, so till now we have learned how to create our own functions, but let's now understand what are built-in functions. So firstly, understand what are built-in functions. So these are the functions that are already available in Python. We simply call them whenever we need them. Like think it like our smartphone. When you buy a phone, apps like calculator, camera, clock, context are already installed. You don't need to install these. Okay. So for the first built-in function we have is you already know print function. It is the very function we need. No need to give example, then also I should write here print hello world I'll first program here. Okay. It is used basically used to display information. Okay. The second input function we have is the input function. Okay. You already know it is used to take input. Write anything in your name. Then you can print name. Our third function is len function. Like we say, write here text equal to Python and print here len text. Then it will give our output as 6. You can also run this on this 6 here. What if I put we'll say a number here like 90, 990? Then it will give error because it object type has no length. Okay, it is only for the you can say for the string only. Okay, I can write here 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then it will give us 4. Okay, now one of function where we will also discuss in detail that was type function. Okay, we can by this function we can tell the type of a data type. Okay, so no need to give examples. You already know the right here print type of no type of type here and okay print type Python. We already know what will be the answer here. Okay, now we have our next function that is max function. It is used to give the max of a collection. Like if I write a print max and write here 10, 5, 30, 15, if I try to run this, you say that I got 30, because the minimum is 30 here. If I write here 100, will get 100. Okay, same we have min function, which is opposite of max. Okay, we find the, if I write here, then it will tell that the minimum function here. Okay, if I firstly write a min, so for admin, I will say 5, 8 is all. Okay, then we have sum here. If I write here sum, it is used to like sum of numbers in a collection. For example, right here, print some 100, 200, 200. Then if I run that, we'll say, okay. Here it takes only at most two arguments. Okay. What is the error? Int object is not iterable. Okay. I got my mistake. So unlike min and max, you have to like make a list of the numbers here. Okay. List we will talk about later, but you know how to make it. That's me. 5, 10, 15. Okay. It is a collection of okay. Then here I can write print and write here sum of numbers. So I can get my output here. Okay. Then we have ABS function here. It like gives absolute value, removes mode, like only gives the output as positive integer. Okay. Whether you give a negative here. Okay. Like if I write here print ABS -5, then it will give me 5. Only if I give 5 here, then it will also give me 5. Okay. Then we have round function, which is used to round off. Okay. So here we have two arguments. Firstly, the num here, and second was it how much this is. Okay. Okay. These two arguments are there. So if I write here, write use to round off to specify doesn't write here how much this is. Okay. And if I write here round and I write here the value of 5, you already know 1 4. Okay. 1 5 9 2, two decimal places. Firstly, I should print this also. Then we say rounded 3.14 here. Okay. Now the other function is sorted. So what is its use? So we will study this function when we study list here, okay? Because it is not useful till now. So now let's you have a question that why are built-in function useful? So without built-in function, we have to write a lot of common logic ourselves, like rounding up and these things. For example, writing out every time we wanted to, okay? Like count greater, find the largest number, calculate total. So we use maximum these functions for these calculations. Like think about a calculator. You don't build a calculator every time you want to add two numbers. You simply press the plus button and build-in function are ready to meet uh, ready-made tools. Okay, you don't need to create them. So let's just take a quick mini practice activity. Like if I write here in this, I will do like if I write a print len programming. This is the 11 here. Okay. For the next practice program, we have max function. Where I write a print max of 12, 45, 7. For this is the 45 are max number. And for the next, we have print ABS. And right here, minus 100. What you will get the answer? Plus 100. Okay. Now for the question 4, we can take that type function print type true. So what will we get here? Last boolean because that's a boolean the type. Now let's come to some of the beginner mistakes here. That is forgetting parentheses while writing two functions, then putting wrong argument type, wrong things, okay? Then it can give error to your code, okay? The third is like assuming every function print, assuming every function, they just return the values, okay? So let's come to the real world applications of these functions. So like the length function used to count items, max used to highest exams, or minimum can be used for lowest temperature, sum can be used for total belongs. Like these all functions can be used in different applications here, okay? So can you tell me a simple answer of the question? What difference between built-in function and user-defined functions? So for the simple one-word definition, I can say that built-in functions are already provided in Python, whereas user-defined functions are created by programmer only. Okay, so let's just take a quick recap what we have learned here. So we have started with what are built-in functions. Okay, so these are functions that are already available in Python. Okay, and we introduce some of the previous one function and new function like input function, print function, input function, or length function is to find length of a particular string or a collection like slash to anything. Okay, then we have type function to type so like find out the type of the data type. Okay, then we have the max function is to find the maximum number of a collection and minimum function it is opposite of max and the minimum value. Okay, sum is used to like sum of numbers in a collection and abs gives the output as positive integer rather than negative. Okay, then round function used to round a particular number to like get how much like the particular number to like a different decimal places like how much you provide in this as argument. Okay, these are the function. Then we have learned some of the common mistakes people do like forgetting parentheses, long argument type, and assuming every function print. Okay, we have to use print statement before every function. Okay, so I want to ask a question that if Python only provides function like print, len, sum, why do you think programmers still create their own function? So it is a very unique answer because every project has a unique requirement. Python gives us many ready-made tools, but we need behavior-specific applications like calculating student grade, processing in order, or validation or logging. We create our own user-defined function. That's why we will learn in. We will also study them. So till now, you know that the Python provides many different functions to make programming easier, but can we make our own custom functions? That we will learn in this next topic. Okay. So in the previous session, we learned about built-in functions like print, length, and sum. They are already provided in Python. But what if your program needs a function that Python doesn't provide? Or what if your program needs a function that Python doesn't provide? For example, calculate a student grade, check whether a person can vote or not, and display a welcome message for your website, calculating a social bill after discount. So Python doesn't have ready-made functions for these specific tasks. That's why create user-defined functions. So let's write a user-defined functions. So what are user-defined functions? So a user-defined function is like you can say a function is a function obviously that is created by programmer to perform a specific task. Okay, so in the simple words, you can say that a Python doesn't have the function you need. You can create it yourself. So for the real life analogy, you can say like imagine you are building your house. The market already provides ready-made items like doors, windows, light, but maybe you want a custom bookshelf that perfectly fits one corner for your room. So you design according to your needs. You can't get ready-made it. Okay. So you can say it is a like user like real life analogy for this function. So let's create our function with a different function. So for that, I will write here def welcome and then I'll write here print welcome to Python course. Now I can write here another print like print happy learning. So here we created a function of a user defined function. Okay. So let's just you can say run this. We can call it also here like not writing call here. Let's writing welcome. Okay. So we can also run it on our VS Code here. So to see. Okay. So previously here we have talked about some of the built-in functions here. Okay. These are okay. We are sort of on user defined. We are like understanding in detail. So let's just print this, and you can say here it is written def welcome print have welcome to Python course print happy learning, and here we are calling a function print welcome here. Okay, so you can say we can run this and say we got our output welcome to our Python course. So like this, we are creating another function which task is used to. So another function's task is the task is to greet different users. This is just a revision of the function. So for this, what we will write here, we will write firstly our direct keyword, then name of the function. After that, we will provide here a parameter that is name, and here the indentation here, and here I will provide this and write here print hello, and here I can write name. Okay, now I can write here greet, call it this function greet user one. Okay, then I can run it. Let's say hello user one. Okay, basic if the functions we are doing. So now we are making a simple calculator function here. So which is task to be like addition here. Okay, so we can write here addition function Here I can write firstly def here, then write the sum here, and here write this. Here, what will I do? Here, firstly I will write return. Okay. So here directly I will not print, and I will write here return. So for here it is saying A and B is not defined. So why it is saying and B is not defined? Because we have not put it in the parameters. So I will write here A, and also so that there should be numbers here. We can write here int. Here also I can write int. Okay. It's giving some error here, saying A not defined here. I think we can't write here int. Now here we make a variable here. Result is equal to add, and not add, our function name is sum here. So I'll write here sum, and provide here two values, like I will provide 3 comma 4. Now I will print the result here. Okay, so it is how it is working here. So let run it here. See, our answer is 8 here. Okay, it's a basic addition function here. Now we will write a function that can check whether a person is eligible to vote or not. So here our task is voting eligibility checker. Voting eligibility checker. Now here write this and write the function name can vote. Here I will take a parameter as age, and then not this. Then I will write here if age is greater, simple if else block is equal to 18, then we can write here your return eligible to vote, and else we can write here return not eligible to vote. Okay. Now here I can directly print this function can vote and write here any age, like I can write here 34, and for that I write here 18 something, or I said right here can vote right here 12. Okay. So you can say that firstly it is eligible to vote, and second it is not eligible to vote. Okay. So this is our function here. So let's understand how we can break a small program with a large program into small function. So let's say you are creating a student management system here. Student management system here. Okay. So in the student management system, what will you require here? In the student management system, there should be a login. So we will make here a login function in which you can say pass a parameter as username and the password. So the task of the login function is to check whether a authorized person is there or not. Okay. Then external function can be add student. If there is a new student, you can add student here. In the parameter, you can write here the name of the student or course of the student, or any just like this. Okay. Then for the next function, we will write update student. Okay. Then for the next function, you can say delete student. Here you can provide the like you can say the registration ID so that because it is unique in the all things. Okay. Then show report like this function. Okay. So let's understand why your defined function are important here. So firstly, these functions are write only once here, but can be used many times. So reusability is there. So I can write here like advantages you can say. Okay. So first you can say that reusability. Then second one is better readability. Then easier debugging. The fourth one is you can say teamwork here. Okay. So these are the advantages of the functions. So let's discuss some of the naming best practices of the functions. So for the functions, these are some of the examples of the good names. Like if you want to calculate, you can write it calculate total. Then find password or find password not find average. Anything like let's say validate password. So these are the good names you can write the best name practices. So let's get what are the bad names then. So these are the good names. Okay. You can definitely use them here. So now let's have the bad names of the functions here. So for that, so bad names is like any random name ABC, FUC1, function1, like this. So these are the not good names here. Okay. So we can write you must also make a mini project here. What we can do like you can like imagine we are example it is project example I can say we're making ATM program instead of writing everything together we'll write deposit function one way, write draw function one way, check balance function one way. Okay. And we can also you can say change the pin also these functions. Okay. So now let's come to the mini practice activity here. Okay. So you have to create the output. I will write you have to create the output here. Okay. So I will write here. So let's just write here on the code editor. Okay. So our first question is if I write int f and make a function like square function here, and I will write here number shift and what does happen now? Okay. Now here I will square the numbers from right here. Return number multiplier number or number exponential 2. Okay. Then I can here also call the number here square and I have to I think print this because I have written this square and I will write here any you can say argument here I can okay you can write here input and I can write here int before input and write here enter on number then I can close this. Okay, after that I can run this program but that you can say first it was asking to enter a number here. So I will write here e number you can say 8 here. You will say answer 64. Okay. Now I will write another program and you have to read the output of that also. If you write here like def welcome and write here print welcome here. Then what if I call this? But I will call this two time here. So if I run this, you can say answer will be welcome two times. Okay. Now for the program 3, I will write a function named as multiply and write here two parameters a comma b and here I write return a multiply by b. Here also I will call this function by writing print here and writing multiply function like 2 comma 3 and I will run this function. Say the answer is 6 here. So it is also working here. Simple functions we are discussing about. Now let's come to some of the common beginner mistakes here. For the mistake one is like creating very large functions. Okay, so it, like in place you write here 2000 lines divided into like small functions. Okay, don't write one function of 200 lines. Divide into small functions and call the particular function in that function also. Okay, then for the mistake two, we can say that poor function name. So you can write the name with the naming style, good naming style. Now for the third mistake, you can say a copy pasting. Don't copy paste the same code multiple times. For that, you should create a function also. Don't create a copy pasting code instead or in spite of making functions. Now let's discuss about some of the real world examination applications of the functions here. So user defined functions are used in every projects. Example e-commerce website, banking application, games, AI applications, social media apps. Okay. So almost every feature you use in application is implemented through functions only. So if I ask you a question, why do programmers use user defined functions? So think about it. So the answer is the user-defined functions make programs reusable, organized, readable, easier to dig up, and easier to maintain. Now let's take a quick recap of these user-defined functions here. So these are very easy. You already know what are functions. Just quick detailed analysis of the user-defined function for the particular topic. So a user-defined function is a function that is created by a programmer to perform a specific task. So here we can create with the def keyword you already know with welcome, you can write print welcome to Python box. Okay. Here we have talked about a student management system example that how function can be used in these different functions for the login function, add student, update student, delete student, and show report. Okay. So then we have done some of the like naming styles of the functions. After that we have told you that what are the bad names for the function that you can't should not use. Okay. So these are the bad names you shouldn't use. Okay. Now we have done all the mini practice activity here. Now we have talked about some of the mistakes here, like creating a large function, poor function, else and copy paste fault. So now you know how to create function that solve the problems, but writing function in enough may some common mistakes that lead to confusing errors. So in next session we will look some of the most common mistakes while working with all of the functions here. Okay? So for that, let me ask you a question that imagine you are building a food delivery app. Would you write the entire application inside one unique function? Or would you create a separate functions like login, search restaurants, place order, and make payment? Which approach would be easier to manage? Okay. So the answer is here that exactly performer divide these functions into small functions. They will do not write one big function. Okay. So each function has one responsibility and one of the main mistake will do considered as the minimum of program. Okay. So by now you have learned how to define functions, call function, use parameter and argument, return values, work with global and global variables. But every programmer make mistakes while learning with functions. So let's look some of the most common ones and understand how to fix them. So the first mistake people often do here, like defining a function but never calling it. Okay. If I write here a function like simple function def greet and I write anything inside it like return and hello. So if you run the program now and now not no nothing will be displayed here. Okay. So why nothing is displayed here because you are not calling function. You have made the function but you are not calling it. Okay. So that's the mistake here. You can simply remove this mistake by writing by calling the function here. Okay. Now the second was that forgetting forgetting parenthesis. Okay, so if you write here def greet and right here return hello. So here what is the error here? Error is you have not written the this here. Okay, so that is the error. So now for the third one, that people write with incorrect indentation. Okay, incorrect indentation, like writing def greet and here writing return hello. Okay, so here indentation is not there. Where is it not there? Because here. Okay, so now let's come to a fourth mistake that people do here is missing column. Very minor mistake are these. Okay, I just copy this and if you write this and you didn't write this column, so it is a mistake here. Okay, now for the fifth mistake here, wrong number of arguments. Okay, so if I take the same functions only, okay, but here argument is like name and is returning hello plus name. Okay, but what if you give when calling this function, when you will call this function here in the next line, then you have written more than a name, like to write here more than one argument with Python, so it will be wrong here. Okay. Now for the sixth is like using print instead of return. Well, you know, no need to say that again. Okay. Now the seventh is trying to access a local variable outside. Okay. Like you write here dev demo and you made a variable here like x is equal to 100. Okay. Now you write here in the global scope print x. So it will give an error because x is defined as a function, not in the file. Okay. You already know. I already told you. Okay? Now for our next mistake, we have that was poor function naming like ABC data one like this. Okay? So writing mistakes is one thing, and you should also try to read message error message also when you got a error. Okay. So beginner often scared when they see errors, but error message are actually helpful. If they tell you what went wrong, where it went wrong, sometimes even how to fix it. Like if you got a type error here and you write and missing one required positional identification argument B. Like this type of error to got it. So this error tells her that the function expected another argument named V. Okay, and you didn't provide it. Like you write here or like functions. If you write the functions like here and you write okay, I'll tell you in the next one. If you write a functions here, like any greet function here, which you like define here, for example only, you can write your name and last name and you will write here first name. Okay? But when calling this function, you write here greet and you provide one name only. Okay, that any XYZ name. Okay. So then this became like a second required position is not there. Okay. So now let's give you some of the debugging tips for the functions. So first read the error message from top to bottom. Check the line number, verify indentation. That is very important. Check parentheses and colons. Ensure function is called. Check the number of arguments. Use print temporarily to inspect variable values by debugging. So let's do some mini practice activity here. I will write the faulty programs and you have to tell what is the fault there. Okay. So for the mini practice activity, I will tell you dev grid first program and I will write here print hello. So when you run this program, you will see what you will see. Just think. So answer to this that it is wrong because you will see nothing in the terminal because you are not called it this function. So this is the mistake here. So what is the mistake here? Function was never called. Now for the second program, if I write let there add a comma b and I will return a plus b. Okay. Now you write here when calling a function, not here, and you write or you simply print add 5 only. So here, what is wrong in doing this? Like you, there are two arguments here, and you have written only one argument here. So the mistake was this only. So you can write here. The mistake was less argument provided. Okay. Now for the third, we have def, demo, and here I return 10. Next line I return, right, print, Python event. So what is the mistake here? So when you will run this function, the Python is not printed. Why? Because here you have written statement return after return. Okay. Now for the fourth, or I think three are more than enough for the main practice activity. So let's take a real world example. Imagine you are building an online shopping website. You made functions like login, search product, add to cart, checkout, like this. But if checkout receives the wrong number of arguments or returns the wrong value, the center server won't make fail. That's why understanding consumption related errors is so important here. So if I ask a question here, like what are common mistakes beginners make while working with function? So you can say that forgetting to call the functions most frequently happen, incorrect indentation, missing column, wrong number of arguments, and like this. Okay. So let's take a quick recap of these mistakes that people do in the functions here. So the first mistake we discovered on defining a function was never calling it. Okay. I have given you the example of how this mistake happens. Then forgetting parentheses here, incorrect indentation here. Okay. Missing colon here, wrong number of arguments here. And using print instead of return here, trying to access local variable here. Okay. Here it is. And you write a like poor function naming also. Okay. Then we have I explained you the this type error here, like how this errors it seems to like very scary, but they are very useful to us. Okay, so here is a mini project activity here. Like here I agreed with the wrong answer, you told me the right answer. Okay, so we now know how to write function and also avoidance its own mistakes. We will now look at some of the real world application of function and see how functions are used in website, mobile games, AI system, and software projects in details. So we have learned what functions are, how to create them, how to pass arguments, how to pass parameters, arguments, using. Okay. Now, do professional developers actually use functions in real projects? So the answer is absolutely. In fact, every application you use every day is built using a thousand, even millions of functions working together. So, why are functions so important in real projects? So, imagine you are building a food delivery app. Would you write the entire application inside one single function? Of course not. Instead, you divide the application into small functions, for example, login, search restaurants, and show menu, add to cart, make payment, track order like this. Okay. So let's take the example of a social media app here. Suppose you try to make a social media app. So what function could you write there? So first you will write login function. Then you will write a sign up because if anyone is not logged in, they will sign up here. Then you will let upload photos function. Then you will write a like post. Okay. Then you will like comment post. Okay. Then you can say you can write your search user. Then more functions you can also write, but I will write here the this. like 5 to 6 functions, and we will finally make the logout function. Okay. So if you take like this, if you take the online shopping website, so what are the possible functions you can make there? So you can like their search product, add to cart, remove from cart, apply coupons. You can apply coupons in the website, no? Make payment, important, very important, and the rank order. For the banking application, you can make the functions like login, check balance, deposit, transfer money, change PIN, like this. Okay. For the calculator app, you can make functions like addition, subtraction, multiplication, divide, and clear. For the games, so there are many functions like start game, move, player, increase speed, like many features in there, like according to the complexity of the game. For the AI application, you can use like a load model, pre-process data, predict, train model, save model, evaluate model like this. Okay. For the weather app example, you can say that you can make the functions like get locations, fetch website, display temperature, like how, show forecast, and any other you can make also. So why large project use thousands of functions? So you imagine writing an application with 1,000 lines of code or 1 lakh line of code. Then if everything involved one function, finding one would be extremely difficult. See, like rolling through the lines of 1,000 lines, 1 lakh lines, so it is very difficult. So instead, developer divide the project into hundreds of thousands of small functions that are easier to read, easier to test, easier to define, easier to update like this. Okay. Suppose a company have 10 developers. Instead of everyone editing the same function, developer one works on login, developer two work on payment, developer three works on reports, developer four work on notifications. If these we don't make these functions, nobody will know where the code of login is written, where the code of payment is written, where the code of notification is written. Okay. So you already know we are watching it on YouTube. So let's take the example of YouTube also. Like for example, you are making a login function here, load homepage function here, search video function here, play video function here, pause video, subscribe channel like this. Okay. So these are the functions you can make here. Okay. These are some of the daily websites where people use functions here. Okay. Now for let's I ask you, think about your favorite mobile app. Now can you identify at least 5 functions that app might use? So if I try like take an example of a music app, you can say Spotify. So it uses a play song, pause song, next song, previous song, search song, create playlist. You can also like the song there also. So for the best practice, I can say that you should always use function. One function is equal to one responsibility here. For example, instead of this login and play and log out, three things in function, you can make separate functions like login functions different, make function different like this. If you try to write here account name, login, and pay and logout. So instead of writing the code in this function, we made three different functions here. Okay, like the first function you can make here, like login function. So one developer can work on this login function. Second is pay function. You can say developer can work on pay function. Then the third is logout function. Third developer can work on logout function. Okay. So I ask you a simple question here, like why do large software companies use many small functions of one large function? I already told you because small function improve readability, make the debugging easier, uh, simplify framework, make maintenance easier. Okay, so let's take a quick recap of these applications of functions here and understand why these are important here. Okay, so as I already told you, if these functions are used in many applications like food delivery app, social media app, banking, games, AI, weather app like this also. So why large project use many small functions? Because this provide reliability, increase improvability, we improve readability, reusability, and teamwork also. Okay, and also one function gives to one responsibility. So that's why it is easier to build a project here. So now we have a similar function everywhere from a simple calculator app to a system. Before we finish the lecture, let's apply everything we learned by solving a few practical programs. Okay. So before that I ask you, you have to build an online examination system. So would you write everything in that one function, or would you create separate functions like login, start exam, submit answer? Okay. So you will use different functions like professional for developer things like that. Let you have to not to build software as a one huge program. You have to build a small connection, small of like made of small functions. Okay. So let's come to the part of the practice programs here. So till now we have covered all important concepts of functions here, but program is not learned by watching videos alone. Program is learned by writing code. So in this session we will solve some practical programs together. So for our first practice program, we will do that. Like your task here is to write a function, okay, which is like simple. First is we start with simple. Like you will write a function which is like add two numbers, or we take this time three numbers or two numbers enough. I think two. We'll write here a comma b here, and we will write this and we'll write here return a plus b. Okay. Then what will I do? I can simply print or I can store in a variable here. So I will write here result equals to add and write here 2 comma 3 and I will print result here. Okay. So when I will run this function, you can see answer is 5 here. So let's now do our another example, which is I should give you an easy one. So let's try to greet, write a simple greet function like there, greet, and here I will write your full name. I will write last name. Okay, and here I will write return hello plus space plus full name plus space plus last name. Okay. So if I run this function right here, like Sachin, okay. So if I try to run this, you can say the answer is hello, this is working fine here. Okay. So now we will make a function which squares a number here. Okay. So def square and right here a num. After that I will write here return. Very easy functions are there. You can definitely make it yourself. But I'm for the beginners I'm writing here. Okay. So I will write here print. Then square and num. Not num. I will write here number that is 4 here. So the 4 square of 4 is 16 here. Okay. So that's why it is right here. Now for the next practice program, We will write a function to check whether a function is odd or even. So firstly we will write the function name like check even, and then I will write here a number. Then I will check whether if number is modulus by 2 is double equal to 0. If it is true, then what I will do, I will return even, else I will return odd here. Simple function, okay? Now I forgot to run that. So if I write as ctrs alt plus n for the code, you can say nothing is coming because I am not called the function. So I'll check even and write here 6. Says it all plus n. I have not print now. Okay. So these are the mistakes that I am doing here. So you should avoid these mistakes. Set all plus n. We say it is even here. If I write here 9, then it is odd here. Okay. Now our next function is to find the maximum of two numbers. We will to provide two numbers and find which will be maximum here. So if I write it there, maximum, and I will write here num1 comma num2. Then I will write here this, and I will write a if operator if a is equal to not a if num1 is greater than num2, then what should you do? You should return str num1. Okay, is maximum. Okay, else what is it return? Return str num2. Is okay. Now let us call this function and write here print maximum here 3 comma 6. Then if I try to run this, this is 6 is maximum here. But what if I write both same number, then it will say 6 is maximum here. It will take any one of the number, but you can write here the name for that also. Let firstly if it will check if num1 is double equal to num2 here, then what you can do, you can return same. Okay. Let's run this. Let's say both are same here. Okay. So for a next project program, that task is to make a function that will calculate the area of a rectangle. So we will make a depth and right area. Then we'll provide here the length and breadth. Now we will return. What will return? Length multiply by breadth. Okay. Yeah. GT. Okay. Then I can write area and we can like here provide any. Just like you dot print here. Here 30 comma 78. Then if I dot run this, say oh sorry I should write here area no. Then under the area section it will be if I try to run it now. uh, okay. LENGTH. Okay. Let's clear this and now run this. So I'm doing this mistake so that you can see what personal mistakes people can do here. Okay. So now we will do a function to convert the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So for that we will, as you already know, the formula of converting you don't know and tell you formula for converting Celsius to Fahrenheit is like for a Fahrenheit we write here temperature in Celsius multiply by multiply by 9 by 5 and then we add all this to 32. So let's do this let at that Fahrenheit Fahrenheit converter. Now I will write here the formula firstly. I will write here F or anything temp here is equal to I will write here given. Okay. Then what will I do? I will like simply copy this and paste it here and in place of C I will write given. Okay. Now after that I will return here. Okay. Now I will print this. I will write here and you can say that 37. So then if I run this, you say the answer is 98.6608. It is telling the full. Okay. So this is our Fahrenheit converter. Now I have to give you a bonus challenge also. Like you have to make a function which gives the cube of a number. Like here we made the square one. You have to simply make the cube where we made this one. Okay. So Yeah, just give you a debugging exercise here. Like, if I write you a code here, like here, bonus this. So if I write here def add and a comma b and to print here a plus b, you write here result is equal to add 10 comma 20 and you print here result. So you know what is the mistake here? So here is the mistake here. Firstly, we are putting in this in the result here, but it is not storing in the build variable. Why it is not storing? Because we have not run return here. If I try to run this, then you can say if I run this, but this, you say the answer will be 30 and none. If I just remove this print statement now, then the answer is also coming. Why it is coming? Because here it is we are in print, not add. If I write return add here, return a plus b, then what will happen? It will give us two thirties. This one for first 30 for this print statement, second 30 for this statement. So for solve this, you just remove this and you are all set here. Hence the answer is 130 is coming here. So please exercise, remember this. So this is we have done so much questions. Now I have give some of the question for yourself also. So for the question one, so you have to what you have to do, you have to write a function that product that return product of two number. For the question two here, what you have to do, check whether with the help of function person is eligible to vote or not. Now for the third one, this function should return largest of three numbers. Now for the fourth one, you should the function that calculates simple interest. Okay, you can like I give you the formula for the simple interest if you don't know. It is as in for simple interest here. It is P into R, which is rate, into time T, and divided by 100. Okay. Now your next function would be able to count character or number of character in the string using len function. Okay, you know len function I told you. So these are the questions for yourself. So for the best practices, keep the function short, use meaningful names, don't repeat code, use parameter instead of hard coding values, use return when the result needs to be reused. So for the real world connection, I can say that every project you build in future, whether it is website, model app, PHP, or automation create. They will use function like these only. So today example are small, but it will apply to future millions of lines of code. So let's take a quick quiz also. So which keyword is used to create a function? So I don't know. We use that keyword here. Which keyword sends the value back from a function? You already know. Return statement or return keyword. Now, which is better for calculations, print or return? The answer is return because you can use the values. Now, what is the difference between a parameter and an argument? I already told you parameter, like it is a variable in the function definition when you define the function, and the argument is the actual value passed in the function called when you calling the function. So you have now written several functions on your own and practice the concept you have learned throughout the lecture. So in the final session, we will quickly revise everything from today's lecture and discuss what you learned in the lecture itself. Also, okay. So now you have understood the lecture and you have taken a step towards the writing clean, reasonable, and perfection of Python code. So let's just quickly revise what is about this lecture, okay? So I should go here, right, and here like write lecture, and our was lecture 6 or lecture 7. Or lecture 6. So I think I have forgotten the name of the lecture. Okay? So we started with the definition of the function that what is functions here. So I think it was seventh lecture because we have also made 7.5 we are working in. I think somewhere we have forgot to written because if I write here lectures it is with write the wrong period. It is lecture 7. Okay. So we started our lecture 7 with the definition of the function that is the name block of code that performs specific task. Okay. We also write our understood other graph instead which we don't repeat yourself. Then we have learned about the syntax of the function, also made the function in greet. We have also used later. Okay. I told you here the full set of the different function which is run, then create, then function blocks and how it is set to running. Then I also told you some of the rules for naming of a function, like it contains letters, numbers, and underscore. Okay, but numbers cannot be at the beginning. These are the mistakes people do to write a function. Okay, very common mistake we'll discuss in the many times. So defining a function means creating function and writing the instruction. Okay. But the calling means executing these instructions. So there is a difference between calling and executing. Now and we have discussed some of the parameters and arguments. Like a parameter is a variable written inside a function definition and argument is the value passed into the function. Also in simple terms you can say that parameter receives values and argument provide values. Okay. Then we have talked about the return statement. What is the use of return statement here? Okay. Then we have discussed the difference between a print and return statement. Like print is the outward returns and value back. We cannot use the result. We can use. Okay. And mainly used for display and mainly used for calculations here. Then we have learned about the scope here. What is the scope? So scope is the area or region of a program where a variable can be exist. There are two type of like variable scope, like local variable, global variable, and there are also global and global variable. So local variable is a variable that is created inside a function. Okay, like this. And global variable which is created on the global file. So for the local and global difference, the local is created inside a function. Global is created outside the function. Local possibly all possible only inside a function. Global exists throughout the program. Local exists during function execution. Global exists when the program is running. Then here are some of the examples of the global and local keyword. Then we have come to the built-in function that the function they are functions that are already available in Python, like print input. Then we have talked about how this function work, type function will go, max function will output the maximum number, sum function, abs function. Then these are the mistakes. Then we learn about user-defined function. A user-defined function is a function that is created by program to perform a specific task. Okay. So then we have learn how make a variable definite value. You already know what the user-defined function. Okay. Then we have talked about the advantages of usability, better stability, relativity, teamwork also. Okay. Then I told you the new criticisms of the user-defined functions. Then we talked about the mistakes that creating very large function to a function name. Okay. Then I come to the applications for the functions. Okay, like social media apps, food delivery apps, online shopping websites like this. Okay, so it was very easy lecture, not very hard in that. Okay, then we have done some questions with us. Okay, also I gave you three questions, or we have done question in the editor also. Okay. So, so now I have given you the homework and don't forget to do this also. So don't worry if you couldn't solve a program today, even actual program, do not write perfect from the first time. Program is learned by writing code, making mistake, reading errors, fixing errors, and practicing again. Every mistake teaches something new. Don't just watch the lecture, otherwise you will stuck in the tutorial hell, and you just try to build the program on your own. So for the next lecture, we will try some of the different data types like list. Okay. What are the list, creating list, updating field, indexing? We will talk about the indexing. I think I've already told you. Okay, list method also. So today we have come to one of the stronger foundations of Python programming data functions. Keep it in the examples on the lecture before moving to the next one. If you understand function well, the upcoming topic list, if tuple, dictionary, sets, file handling, and everything will become much easier. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Till then, happy coding.